Hey kids, it's your friend and pal, Brian, hanging out here in the home office of the Blue Dog Farm. I was going to write a blog post today for the website, and I was like, I'm going to do a video blog. Yeah, what did they used to call those vlogs? Vlogs or something. I'm going to do a video blog, and it's basically because I just don't feel like typing. I hate typing, to be quite honest with you. It just... Anyway, this is going to be a little story about farm living and a chicken, yep, and a blind dog, a blind puppy. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, this is such a weird life for me because now I've basically become... I realized I'm Jojo Gabor. Not really. I'm just her character from Green Acres. A lot of you remember Green Acres, right? Yeah, that little show where the city dweller, she had to move to the country with her husband, Eddie Albert. My wife is Eddie Albert. Not really, but for the sake of the story, let's let her be Eddie Albert. And I'm the city dweller. We moved to the country, and because my wife wanted to, Eddie. And we got critters. You know, we have a Juliana pig. It's not like a teacup pig, but it's a well, it's gotten bigger. We feed it too much, but it's not huge, but it's not dainty. We let it sleep in the house at night and stuff like that, and the rest of the time it just messes up the yard. Then we have a one-eared cat named Vinny, and of course, the blind puppy. Yeah. One day, so this is where this story starts. One day the blind puppy just shows up on our back deck with like a squirrel in its mouth. And I was like, there's no way the blind dog caught a squirrel. Either that's a very stupid squirrel, or it's the cat who was sitting right behind the blind puppy, kind of just going, here, give this to the humans. They'll love you. A couple days later, I started rethinking that because I was like, maybe it wasn't the cat. Because I turn the corner in my yard, I go walking along, and all of a sudden I look, and the blind puppy has one of our chickens in her mouth. The chicken's alive, but the blind puppy has caught a chicken. And so I just yelled, drop that chicken! And the blind puppy panicked, dropped the chicken, turned around and ran right into a tree, which was pretty funny. She hates that tree. She runs into it all the time. So, I was a little crazed, thinking we got I guess a gifted blind puppy or really stupid chickens and squirrels. And then one evening, Eddie Albert and I were chatting after dinner. We looked out the kitchen door and we noticed that said blind puppy was actually eating a chicken. There were feathers everywhere, just like the chicken had exploded. And I went over there, and blind puppy was just loving eating and devouring the innards of this chicken. And the really bad part, and we probably should have named the Chicken Biscuit in hindsight. The chicken was still alive while it was being eaten. Ugh. I pointed this out to, Miss Albert, and she looked at me and just said, well, you're going to have to kill it. You're going to have to kill it. No. Remember, I'm a city boy. I can leap over a junkie on the subway. I really don't think I can whack a critter. Of course, she just stared at me like only Eddie Albert could. It's probably the worst Eddie Albert impression ever. So I went and I had to obviously chop this chicken's head off, and I went to the shed, and I don't have an axe, but I have something called a matic, which is M-A-T-I-C. It's kind of like an axe, except it's not. It is used to whack holes into the ground when the ground's really hard, so you can plant a tree or something like that. I know someday, as I get older, I'm just going to always refer to it as the matlock. Well, it turns out I would have been better with a butter knife doing what I was going to try to do. I went over there and I channeled my inner Lizzie Borden, and I almost finished the job in, maybe 6 pathetic whacks. A small thread of flesh kept the now lifeless head tethered to the body. Notice I did say lifeless head. Not so much for the body. No, not at all. The body, it started to wiggle. It started to waggle. And then, boom, it just shook and moved around. And I screamed. I threw the matlock in the air and ran around like I was a schoolgirl at an Ed Sheeran concert. You know, my wife was still staring at me. And I swear Mr. Ziffel, who was standing right behind her. Anyway, the bird was finally dead after the little spasm. And so I went and got a shovel. And I scooped up the chicken. And I carried it out in the yard. And I did an amazing lacrosse launch of the chicken into the neighbor's property. Because I don't want that shit in my yard. There's a reason why I didn't bury the chicken, but we've already gone on for too long, so I'm going to save that story for my next little video blog when I do want to typey. So, hey, thanks for watching that. And you have a very pleasant thing, whatever you're doing. Talk to you later.